First, how many Arby's fans do we have in the building? You're not gonna hurt my feelings if you don't raise your hand. How many people have never been to Arby's? I'm gonna hunt you down. And anyway, thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to talking about kind of how we grew our social media properties, and I'll talk a little bit about how the whole Pharrell Grammys thing happened. So a little bit about myself. I'm now the Director of Digital and Social at Arby's, so I'm responsible for activating really all of our digital and social properties for the brand. So I've been at Arby's for almost 4 years now. Prior to Arby's, I worked at a digital marketing agency in Atlanta, and there I worked primarily on Chick-fil-A. So I've been stuck in the food space, and my waistline has obviously grown with it. A little bit about myself. I've got a 1-year-old who keeps me pretty busy. I love golf. Having the 1-year-old doesn't help my golf game much. Huge sports fan. Love the Braves. Love the Falcons. Love the Hawks. Although we don't do as well with championships as Chicago does. I have psychology degrees, which is interesting. I never thought I'd be in this space coming out of grad school and college, but I think the psychology degree has definitely served me well dealing with social media. So enough about me. So I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of how we built our social platforms at Arby's. And again, I frame it up as tips. I don't think there's a great blueprint that you can take and run with. And every brand's different. Everybody has things that work for them and don't work for them. So I'll frame it up as just tips. 5 tips that helped us grow our properties. We'll talk about kind of how that shifted to our social media strategy today. We'll talk a little bit about Grammys, Pharrell, and Arby's. So how many people you totally forgot about Arby's until you saw the Pharrell tweet? So a few people. So that helped a little bit put us back in people's conversations. And I've got a video clip that I'll share that kind of details how the whole Pharrell came to be, and then hopefully we'll have some time for some Q&A. So we'll start out first in the beginning. This is actually our very first tweet. I don't know if anybody noticed a couple months ago, but Twitter celebrated a birthday, and all these people went and found these brand's first tweets. So this was our lovely first tweet. Is this thing on? So what shall we talk about? Seems like we didn't have a clue there. So this was in June of 2010. So I started at Arby's in December 2010, and prior to that, Arby's did not have a digital social group at all. So I believe a PR team agency was running kind of Twitter and Facebook, and our Facebook page was probably 40,000 people, if that, and mostly employees on there complaining about, why have I had to slice meat? Why are you paying me this amount of money? It was mostly really a bitch fest for employees on our Facebook page. And our Twitter account, very similar. We were just posting things like this and only had 2,000 followers and not a lot going on. And I think we got a lot of flack if you can Google an article that lumped us with Burger King. We were like the last ones to have a Twitter account and talk about Arby's needs to get with the times. So, and traditionally Arby's had been just a slow follower to everything. The brand had struggled tremendously, through the early 2000s up until really 2010. So there was a lot to do when I arrived to try to get us back. I came from an agency working at Chick-fil-A and their social strategy, and we're doing Cow Appreciation Day and great things there, and to a brand that really had to start from scratch. So I'm going to talk about these 5 things that we did that I think really helped us grow our social media properties and strategies. I'll talk a little bit about structures, important people and processes. Cross promotion was obviously helpful for us. I'll talk about an always-on approach in social media, obviously sweepstakes and giveaways, and then paid media. So for us, it really started with putting people in the right place, structure. So it was great that Arby's finally recognized the importance of digital and social media and actually built a team in late 2010, myself and a few other people, to start working diligently on social and digital media. I can tell you, our executive team is made up of a lot of older executives, and even our franchisee board. The brand Arby's has been around 50 years. The board's very old. It's hard to get them to push, dollars away from television and into new media. So I can tell you kind of the story of how we really got started in social was actually through Foursquare. One of our team members prior to my arrival created a Foursquare special within a few of our test markets. We printed out these table tents that we put on each of our restaurants that had basically said the mayor's table. So back in Foursquare, you became the mayor. This was your table when you came into an Arby's restaurant. And this got written up by the Wall Street Journal. And the executive team flipped out and said, who did you pay on the Wall Street Journal for them to write about Arby's? And we were like, we didn't pay anybody. And they're like, why would they write about this? And like, well, this is, new media. This is a way for us to engage with the younger audience base. And, well, how much this must have cost us, $20,000 to do this. And really, it was zero. It basically cost us a couple $100 to print these table tents. And thus, that's kind of how our digital social team got kick-started. So I talk about structure, so it's great that the brand recognized to put resources in place. In my role, especially as it relates to the Pharrell story, which I'll share, is, I've been given a lot of empowerment to tweet, off hours, and if I feel like there's an opportunity for us to jump on, over the past 3 years, I built a lot of trust with our brand team and legal teams to do that. And it wasn't when I first came in there, they handed me the keys and said, all right, tweet away. It was definitely a learning process. Really, I walk up to the floor where our legal team is, and I became best buddies with this person and explained to him and the team, what we were doing in social and why it was beneficial for the brand, and really just built a relationship with our legal team. I'd say for us, that's been the most successful thing we've done, to do the things that we've done, to be really quick on the mic per se in social media is, I'm constantly talking to our legal team and explaining them what we're doing, explaining to them, Instagram and Snapchat and all these new things and how we're going to use it. And I think that's played a big role for us. Approval process is key too. Working very closely with a legal point of contact. So if we're going to do something during the Super Bowl, I'm saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. Can you be on call? Can I shoot you a text for you to look at something quickly if it's something we want to jump on? So that relationship, approval process, putting that in place very early on, refining it over and over has really helped us. And then, before we did any posting, obviously having a solid content strategy was important to us. So before we did any posting, let's establish goals and benchmarks for success. So very early on, growth was important for us as we were a brand that was so far behind from our competitors. So we set goals each year. Our first year there, I want to hit 1 million fans, and establishing those goals, and so that we can set things in motion to reach them. Looking at audience type, looking at our customer base. Obviously we had a lot of employees on our Facebook page to begin with, so quickly worked with our HR team to put a policy in place for employees posting on social media. So that kind of helped, navigate the Facebook page from just a place where employees were going to complain versus where we want customers to come and talk about, Arby's and our products and our menu. Frequency of content, looking at how often we post. I think very early on we paid very much close attention because we didn't have a lot of paid media, and I'll talk about paid media in a minute. Very much paying close attention to when we posted, whether it had an image, pieces of content, and really analyze each and every piece of content, and then make those recommendations moving forward of hitting the news feed, hitting the post type at the right time, and also looking at channel strategy. So at first we were just on Facebook and Twitter, but we quickly recognized an opportunity in Foursquare, opportunity in Instagram with our customer base posting a lot of photos for us to be in these channels, opening up these properties and engaging with our customers. Cross promotion. I think this is one that it can be difficult for brands like Arby's and other brands that have other means of communicating to their customers. We very early on tried to leverage cross promotion where we can. Obviously, we didn't have a huge budget to run paid media to drive the database and the growth. So leveraging our television, putting Facebook and Twitter links within the TV broadcast. Our print pieces, so quickly just talk to our print person. How easy would it be because our business is very print driven. You know, if you get coupons in the mail from Arby's quite often, we do a lot of print drops in a lot of different markets, and it's just a piece of paper, but it's another touch point where we can put, you know, find us at Arby's, Facebook.com/Arby's or Twitter.com/Arby's, and I talked to them, and it was, you know, like, yeah, we can do that. We can make room. You know, I didn't ask for a huge takeover of their print piece, but just, you know, can you include us in driving traffic to our social properties? In store, obviously, we have a lot of customers coming into our restaurants, and, you know, where we can put it on receipts and point of purchase materials, table tents, anywhere we can leverage tray liners where visual people can see and interact with us. So, you know, very early on, we wanted a no dead ends approach. So we didn't want you to come in the restaurant and that was it. So we try to have multiple touch points, so where you can talk to us online and then we can drive you back in the restaurant, so there's no dead ends. And then obviously other properties and digital and social media to cross promote, and, you know, in different areas, letting people know we've got an Instagram feed, an Instagram page, things like that. In the top right, we did have a card that we created that we put in store that drove to our sign up for our deals, as well as, you know, find us, you know, and we just put them at the restaurant, put them in bag stuffers, and it was just, you know, another way to try to drive, acquisition. And another one that I think gets missed a lot is leveraging partnerships. Obviously, we're a brand that has a lot of partners with Pepsi and King's Hawaiian and Oreo. So when we have these cross-promotion products with different brands, you know, we talked to the Oreo team, and because they had a great, you know, Facebook page. Hey, can you mention us? Can you call out our new shake, Jamocha Oreo shake? Can you mention us in a tweet and a Facebook post? Again, all just trying to, you know, elevate our social properties. Always on approach. So this is probably the biggest one for us that helped us grow I feel like we have a good community that's really engaged with Arby's. So, you know, I've seen brands often, you know, just tweet or just post from 9 to 5 while they're in the office, but really social media never sleeps. You know, we feel like we had wins where we noticed a lot of our competitors, QSR competitors, were posting content on Facebook and Twitter from, you know, lunchtime to 6 o'clock, and we were finding a window at 7, 8, 9 p.m. where we posted content. It was way outperforming, you know, the posts that we saw that McDonald's received or Wendy's received. So recognizing, you know, and that was just us being diligent, looking at the content, knowing when to post, looking at the best times to optimize, knowing that we didn't have a budget to just blast paid media and promote everything, but trying to, you know, look at the system and see if when optimally we can best hit the news feed. We did a lot of that for the past 2 or 3 years, really analyzing the content, looking at each and every piece of content thoroughly. I mentioned don't go dark or hours and days of the week. I think that was a big issue of how the pages were managed prior to my arrival is, you know, we'd post every other day and then we would just go dark on the weekend. So I think being consistent, consistency was what I was trying to introduce as we grew our properties, so that people know when they tweeted us, they would get a response from us pretty quickly. And another thing is act like a user. You've seen a lot of brands just, you know, especially on Twitter, there's just a push. They're just pushing. You don't see any tweets that are responding to. You know, if you look at our Twitter account and our Facebook page, you know, we strive to respond to each and every person that we can, even though we have a limited team. So if somebody, you know, tweets at us about an experience, you know, we want to, you know, within a reasonable amount of time, respond back to them. So we definitely try to act like a user. So favoriting tweets, retweeting, just simple response, a smiley face, just showing we're being active and acting like a user. I think really, you know, people are more likely to like us and follow us and interact with us moving forward just by us participating in the space. Sweepstakes and giveaways, obviously, you know, we didn't have a large budget to do paid media, so this was, you know, a couple years ago, easy way for us to grow a community. You know, everybody really likes free stuff, so whenever we had an opportunity to, you know, give away a coupon or, you know, partner with a sweepstakes, you know, we like gated things. I don't know if you can do that anymore, but you know, we felt like that was a great way to help us catch up a little bit because we were so far behind some of our competitors in terms of just the size of our communities. And again, too, can also be a negative part of this too. You could be attracting the wrong type of customer, right? The wrong type of guest. They're just coming to get the deal and leave. So obviously we knew that, and we did see some of that. You know, people just getting the deal or signing up really quickly and then leaving. But we kind of did this early on, and just to help, you know, spread the word out. but then really only did it for probably a year, and then after that, if we did an offer or did a sweepstakes, we made it open for everybody to come and join. But probably very early on when we were trying to grow, we definitely used sweepstakes and giveaways to try to grow our database. And then obviously paid media. You know, if you've got money, it's a great tool to grow your communities. I think it's important to pick the right partner and focus on building the right audience. I think there's a lot of articles out there of seen recently with Facebook. They're going acquisition campaigns and they're getting people that aren't necessarily the right. A couple years ago. So, and at the time when I started, the executives were so focused on, I think very early on in social too, people were so focused on, how many Facebook fans you have, right? One of my higher up bosses were so obsessed of we got to get to 2 million. Josh, what are you going to do? If you do get to 2 million, I don't know, we're going to be able to keep you around. You got, wink, wink. He was so focused on that number. I feel like, for a while, social was so focused on, how many Facebook fans you have, how many Twitter followers you have. But probably about, I'd say 6 to 9 months ago, we said, hey, we're never going to be a brand that has 20 million Facebook fans, like a McDonald's. It's just, it doesn't make sense to do that. We feel like the community that we built at the time was hitting around 2 million. We had a great engaged group, and if you looked at Subway's and McDonald's, their pages, their engagement wasn't that great. So we feel like we grew the database in the right way, in a smart way, and found the right people to interact with us. And acting like a user, we were interacting with on our Facebook pages and our Twitter properties very consistently. And so we made a shift, and said, let's focus on engagement. Let's focus on, we want to be a best-in-class brand for consumer engagement. And so that's been kind of our mantra for the past, I'd say 6 to 9 months. And with that, we're monitoring social conversations and responding, in a unique way that's, in our personality, in our brand voice. So this is from Pat Sajak, something we scrolled upon, and he said, "Hope I'm not nominated for a Golden Globe at Arby's. Can't possibly make it on time." I don't know if he was serious or he was just making fun of us, but. We wrote back, and, but they don't serve curly fries at the Globes. Your stomach was the real winner. So, our big thing at Arby's is listening. Like, social for us is all about listening. When I do lunch and learns for, educating our franchisees and our in-store, people, our support center, I say, what we do in here in this room, we've got a kind of a room where we, talk about social. We're listening. We're just listening. We talk about business to consumer, how the microphone's this way. For us, social is all about the consumers have the microphone, we're just listening and identifying opportunities for us to engage. So classic example here, this was during right as the Golden Globe started, we noticed a tweet that's mentioning us. He didn't tag us in it, but we're mining data, we're listening for people mentioning our brand, and it's an opportunity for us to engage in a celebrity. Whoops. Another part of that is taking a look at our content. So we're trying to develop consumer-centered content around programs and promotions. So back in March, we did this campaign called #FeedMeI'mIrish with our Reuben sandwich. So we could easily just made some posts about our Reuben, go try our Reuben. We're trying to get away from just using social as an advertising platform of just, so many times people want to hear about, come to Arby's, we have curly fries. Come to Arby's, we have curly fries. So we're trying to, create content that's a little bit more interesting and, a little bit more one-to-one. So we looked at people that were talking about St. Patrick's Day and during the did back in March, and we created these kind of "Feed Me, I'm Irish," small short videos, and sent it back to them. Small things like that we think go a little longer way than just us, producing a lot of content that looks like ads that end up going out on our social properties. And the one on the right is last year we were bringing bottled sauces back to our restaurants, so you could buy a bottle of Arby's or horsey sauce, and this was launching right around Halloween. So people are just passionate about our sauces. When they run out of sauces, they really freak out, like, oh my God, my stash at home is gone. And so since it was around Halloween, we came up with this concept of hashtag Saucepocalypse. So we asked people to share their Saucepocalypse moments, and people shared about their times where they didn't have sauce. So one guy said, my mom's meatloaf, it was dry and tasted like a belt. And then we created these movie posters, if you can look it up on our Facebook page, and it was kind of like a movie-style horror poster. We made this meatloaf guy wrapped around a belt, and we created this movie poster for him, and we sent it to him, and he was super stoked about it. He was one of our guys that talked to us a lot, and those type of things we think go a longer way than just us blasting, hey, we have sauces here. So we're trying to take it, that engagement part a step further. And then finally, I think this is a lot of buzz, real-time marketing, right? Create content around consumer insights, topical events, and cultural trends as they unfold. So this one I've talked a lot about with real-time marketing. It seems like a big buzzword. And a lot of people have very opinions about how we go about it. But I think we try to take a stance that we only want to join a conversation, let's wait to the Super Bowl or something like that if it fits with our brand. Again, we're big proponents of not forcing the issue or not forcing our brand into the conversation. And you may look at our page, and sometimes we may take some risks, some swings and misses, and it just didn't work. And we'll take that back and really look at it. But we feel like we don't want to force the issue or force ourselves in the conversation. So when we look at things that are happening in culture events and how Arby's fits in it, we try to find a creative way to do that. And we've done some stuff during the Super Bowl. This was when poor Peyton Manning was throwing interception after interception. So, we just said, so anyone in the mood for a turnover right now? And, simple as that. We didn't do any hashtag or anything. But, and then this was around the Olympics. Curling was such a popular thing with the Olympics, right? So, are we doing this right? Hashtag curling fries. So I think we try to find a fit for our brand and be able to join conversations where it seems applicable. So finally, let's talk about the Grammys. So, how many people are watching the Grammys? Pretty good bit. So this was Pharrell's Grammys moment. Obviously, he came out wearing this lovely Stetson-looking hat that was very tall that people obviously reacted to on social media. And then our Grammy moment happened when we recognized how closely his hat may look like our logo, and thus we sent this tweet: "Hey Pharrell, can we have our hat back?" So I'll talk a little bit about. I'll go through kind of the backstory, and then I've got a video that kind of explains it a little bit better than I could probably explain. But so we sent the tweet, and these were the results. Again, 83,000 retweets was, when I sent the tweet and came back and looked at my laptop, and my tweet deck looked like it was on fire. I was like, holy shit. Because if you look at our tweets, if I get 50 retweets on a brand post, I'm like, yes, 50. So in context of explaining it to people, it's equated to our brand winning the lottery. It's just a lot of retweets on Twitter. It's just if you look at our tweets content, it's just a remarkable, just on the social side of it, and then obviously the PR side of it. That obviously helps too, of all the PR pickup it got the next day, and I'll share a little bit more with you there. So I'm a big social data geek, so I like to go in and look at the numbers and see the word cloud spike trends. So I'll share some of this stuff with you guys. So. After it happened, we've got over 135,000 mentions, so quite a bit, totaling over 200 million impressions. So, this was beyond what we'd ever done before. Probably the one that compared the most was back in December. We tweeted after Tony Romo threw a bunch of interceptions about anybody craving turnovers, and that one got about 1,000 retweets, and that was it. So if you compare it to something we had. So I knew we made it that night when other brands jumped on the bandwagon, right? So we saw, Quaker Oats tweet at us, "Hey Arby's, did Pharrell give you that hat back?" So I haven't heard from Madonna about mine. So I guess Madonna had one that looked like Quaker Oats. Pepsi, our partner, just retweeted #win, so that was awesome for them to do that. And then what Hyundai was doing that night was interesting. It was like they were giving out awards for brands that were killing it with tweets, right? So they sent us a tweet, "Well played, Arby's," something about, "I wish we had our logo looked like a hat, award for the night." So that's when I knew we kind of, won when other brands were kind of jumping on, our success. And then when you look at, I like to look at different word clouds and see how people were reacting to it. So the top left is a kind of a word cloud of just people mentioning the word Arby's. So normally it just looks like brand terms. It's curly fries, roast beef, etc. And it's people mentioning Pharrell, poor Pharrell, and Grammys. And Arby's had no business to being talked about with the Grammys and Pharrell, right? But we were being talked about that night. And if you look how people reacted to it, positive, negative, the green words being positive, red words being negative, people thought people thought it was hilarious. People thought the response was funny. So it was good for us to see that and how people perceived the tweet. Because when I first sent the tweet, I was like, "Oh man, he's not going to be happy with me." And I think I'll talk next a little bit about how this happened. So everybody comes up to me and says, "Josh, how did this happen? Was this a paid thing? It just seemed to work out so well. How did this happen?" So I'll share with you how it happened, and I'll show you kind of a quick video. So really, this happened. It was all a story of listening. Like I said before, we built our foundation on listening. I've been doing this for 3 years. Whenever there's a big event, I'm sitting at home. I pull up my laptop. I'm listening. We've got tools and it sends me alerts of when our brand names are spiking abnormally than they should. So this was really a story about just listening and probably a little bit of luck. So we really noticed our brand being mentioned very early on in the day. Because I think he was on the red carpet probably an hour before. He had the hat on. We saw tweets like this. Pharrell hat really looked like the Arby's logo. Someone compared Pharrell's hat to the Arby's logo. That is genius. #Grammys. So all these were happening before our tweet went out. And we knew that just by listening to the conversation. And when I saw these coming in, I'm like, "Oh, this is a great opportunity for us to jump in the conversation here and the brand and own it." And really, and a lot of people ask me, were we in a social media war room? No, we weren't. I was at home. It was my son's birthday. We were running behind, and I was literally fixing a bottle. And I get these alerts on my phone. I go over, and I'm like, "What should we tweet?" I'm like, "Oh, we should just ask for a hat back." And I just thought it was going to get a couple hundred likes and be fine. Take the bottle upstairs, come back down to the laptop, and it's like going nuts. And I'm like, "Oh shit!" Literally, I said, "Holy shit!" My wife's like, "You okay? You okay?" I'm fine. So literally, that's how it happened. Not to say that there's nothing wrong with the social media war room. We have one. We use it. We use it every day. I'm a proponent of if you have a social media war room, you should be using it every day, not just for just the Super Bowl or just an event. Like we use it every day. We could have easily been in there, but just by having me being empowered to monitor the conversation and recognize an opportunity to jump on the brand by listening, that's kind of how it happened. I talked about that. I had the freedom and flexibility. Everybody asked me how to get legal approval. No, I think if I did, the tweet probably wouldn't have been able to be posted. So was there probably a little bit of risk in it? Yeah, I think. But I think over time, I've worked with our legal team to let them help us take risks. So they're willing to take risks with us as long as we feel confident in it. So if I didn't have a relationship with the legal team and I sent this out, I probably would have pissed a lot of people off internally. But they trust me. They trust our team that we're going to make the right decisions. We're not going to put the brand in jeopardy. And I think another reason that the post was successful is we were able to use the hashtag, so that was great. Obviously, a lot of people were using the hashtag that night. The content was simple to the point. We didn't have an image. It was just simple. We didn't use all the characters. It was easy for people to see and retweet. I think that had a lot to do with it too. And then finally, I think another big reason why it was so successful for us was drop the mic. So once the tweet was posted, we saw it was great. I went in, we had pre-planned stuff that was going to go out for the Grammys, and I suspended it and said, this tweet's great. There's nothing we can do to top it. Halt, cease, and just watch. So I don't think we posted really until the next day at lunchtime. I think we said something. So is anybody, craving Arby's for lunch or something like that? But, we didn't post. We didn't try to overtop ourselves. I think if you saw his response, and we'll see it in the video's coming up next, that, Pharrell tweeted back 4 in the morning the next day, y'all trying to start a roast beef. So I think his playing upon it, he was a great sport about it too. He could easily have been really upset, and I think luck has something to do with it too in this. I'm not saying that has nothing to do with it at all. I think, we definitely were lucky in this situation that he was a great sport about it, and then he responded, and we got a lot of pressure too to come back with something the next day. Like, oh, he said, y'all trying to start a roast beef. There was a lot of agencies emailing me, oh, we got to post this, and we didn't post. And that's hard to do for a brand, I think, in that situation. Twitter was emailing me, oh, you got to capitalize on this. If you don't, it's just going to be a bad deal. But we didn't. We kind of just said, hey, he had a great comeback. We can't top that, so we're not going to. And we'll just sit back and watch. And you can see in the video kind of the next evolution of what happened was with him selling the hat for charity and what happened at the Oscars. So with that, we'll show the video, and then we'll open up the Q&A.
Arby's may have inspired the night's most unusual fashion choice everybody is talking about.
Yes, take a look at this.
The buzz was all about Pharrell and his hat.
And was this compared to Arby's restaurant logo? Oh, yeah.
The player probably topped last night's fashion fails with his Arby's-inspired hat.
This company sent him a tweet and say, hey, Pharrell, can we have our hat back?
It has become an internet sensation. What happiness is, 'cause I'm happy that alone if you feel like that's what you want. The one that makes winners was Pharrell, but obviously his hat was an even bigger winner.
Close second in the winner department was Arby's. A hat joke heard around the world. Hey, at Pharrell, you have our hat back?
Their tweet, hey Pharrell, can we have our hat back? Had over 75,000 retweets already by this morning.
That was my tweet deck.
Arby's actually tweeted, we want our hat back.
handcuffs on me. Like every tweet I had to run through legal, and I'm like, guys, if we're going to win in social, we just can't do that. If we're going to be a brand that's going to embrace social, you've got to break these handcuffs off and trust our team to make the right decisions. And if we're going to be able to jump on things, you've got to trust us. So Sheila, my counterpart in legal, I mean, literally, I feel like she's my best friend at Arby's. Like literally, I go up to she's on the floor above me. I'm all the time just talking to her. Hey, how you doing? How's it going? Hey, I want to run something by you. And some things that they shoot down, and we totally respect that. I'm like, I go up there and say, hey, this is what we're thinking for the Olympics. Does this cause you heartburn? If it does, we won't do it. You tell me. Like, we're very open. And if she says, hey, we really shouldn't be doing this, I'm like, okay. I really wanted to. If anybody watches The Daily Show, I think he loves ripping on us for some reason. I really wanted to like tweet him back, and they're like, no, we really shouldn't probably engage him because comedians can be pretty powerful. And I'm like, okay, I respect that. But there's other times that we can push forward and say, hey, we think the value is here for us to post this content or use this hashtag or whatever it may be. And they're like, okay, we're willing to take some risk with you. So it's definitely just it's a great relationship with our legal team and our marketing team to forge that. And it takes time, and it was just consistency. That's a big thing for us. Me just being in this role for a long time and just having that relationship, and them knowing that all right, we can trust him. He's not gonna do anything stupid. Usually I put a slide up with a social media, empowering a social media person. My rule is whenever I post a tweet, is this going to get me fired, or is my mom going to be proud to read this? So those things I go for before anything I post. So just really just building that relationship with them, educating them too, because she's legal. She goes over trademarks. She doesn't get Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and all this stuff. So sometimes it's me just taking the initiative and doing a lunch and learn with the legal team, saying, hey, I'm gonna talk to you guys about Instagram today, and this is what this platform is. This is how we want to use it. And just if you educate them, I think that makes them a little bit feel more comfortable with giving you some leeway in the space.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet Pharrell?
I did not get to meet Pharrell. So the cake in there, if you saw the cake, we were at a company meeting, and they were like, they brought me up on stage, and they were like, we brought you something, and I thought it was going to be Pharrell, like walking into our company meeting, but it was the cake. I was like, is he going to jump out of the cake? But haven't got to meet Pharrell yet, but I'm hoping since we got the hat back, maybe I can show up somewhere with a hat on and be like, how's it going? I'm the guy that caused you probably a lot of heartache.
That's what I was going to ask you. If you had the opportunity to meet him, would you be one? Tell him that you were the man behind the tweet?
Oh yeah. Like I'm the guy you've been tweeting with back and forth for quite a while, because we had a couple exchanges, so I didn't get the chance to walk through how the Oscars thing happened. But about a couple weeks after the Grammys, in between that and the Oscars, he tweeted back at us saying, hey, Arby, you want your hat, and how's your chance? So his team was auctioning off for charity, and the charity just lined up ending as the Oscars began. So we knew we wanted to, we thought it would be a great opportunity for us to bid on it, especially the money was going to charity. And we just thought it was a great partnership with his charity, with children, and Arby's Foundation. We do a lot of work with No Kid Hungry and feeding kids during the summer. So it was a great opportunity for us to buy the hat, and I would have felt really bad if we didn't buy it for all the stuff we did with it. For most of my tenure, it was just me running social. We had a guy that did all the digital stuff, the website and email, but I was a one-man crew since January of this year. Obviously, the Pharrell thing helped with that. Obviously, the franchisees of Arby's are very old franchisees, and it's really been hard for us to get them to get social. This has helped a ton. So it's been a process of building our team out and providing that. So we use a tool called NetBase as our social engagement platform and listening, and it's a great tool. It sends me alerts if it takes our normalized chatter throughout the day. If something spikes, I get an email and a text alert saying, hey, we're seeing abnormal mentions for you. So that was very helpful after this Pharrell thing happened. So what happened was that he's got like this hat in like 50 different colors, I think. So he was singing in the NBA All-Star game. He had a red one on, and so I get an alert on my phone at night and saying, hey, there's a lot of mentions of Arby's. So we're able to quickly get the team to jump on it. But we've had a lot of turnover and a lot of change with our CMOs. If you follow Arby's, I think I'm on my third CMO and third agency in my past 3 years. So that could be difficult. But luckily the new CMO came in and it really embraced social. He came from Taco Bell. If anybody follows Taco Bell, they do a stand-up job in social media. So finally, I feel like I got a champion that's at the leading marketing, so that's been huge for me, and the Pharrell thing obviously helped too. But definitely looking to grow our team as, really social never sleeps, and just recognize and continue to express the value of social for our franchisees and our community teams, and just educating them. Yeah, that's a great question. So we're definitely we're interacting with a lot of people that are just mentioning the word Arby's and not tagging us in anything, right? I think 99.9% of the time we've interacted with somebody without them mentioning us, they think, oh my God, that's awesome that you tweeted at me, you're listening to me. So we haven't had any negative impact on that. Yeah, that's a great question. My wife gets mad at me all the time. Put your phone down. I'm like, because my thing is like, there's people talking about us all the time. I feel like, I feel neglectful if we don't at least acknowledge them or, respond to their tweet. I know some brands have it 24/7, like I'm sure United and customer service brands like that have to be on 24/7. With a QSR brand, I don't think people expect us to. The expectation is not for us to. If somebody tweets at us at 2 a.m., they don't expect us to respond. So that makes it a little bit easier. I think having tools like NetBasics send me alerts, so I don't feel like I'm tied to the account all the time helps. I think growing the team helps because then I've been, because really sometimes I'm just like, I'm exhausted. I can't just look at all these tweets again. This can be exhausting, just going through it all the time. I mean, it just continues, right? It's just never ending. So I think we try to strike a balance of leveraging tools where we can, obviously scheduling out things. So, a lot of our people interact with us at night and at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern time when they're watching TV and interacting with our commercials. So, we're scheduling content to go out at that time. And then definitely leveraging technology tools that kind of help us streamline some of that, with alerts and things like that. But I think it's important to strike a balance because, I can definitely get burnt out, if anybody that's a social media manager or a community manager, some days you can just be really burnt out from it and need a break. So it's good to have another team member to help and support within the company.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you.